Welcome everybody to our TAFTC. Today's talk is going to be on marketing your fashion brand and insider's look. Today with us today are going to be 4 speakers. All right. So our panelists will later will go down the line and then they'll introduce themselves and also I think you're fine. I think you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. So they go down the line and introduce themselves. 3 of them are alumni, and one of them is a very special TAFTC guest. Who has very kindly come down. All 4 of them have very kindly come down today to talk more about their experiences in marketing and even building their own brand as well. So before we begin, I'd just like to share with you. I'd just like to ask everybody, who here knows what digital marketing is? Okay, the silence here is deafening. Okay, who knows what is social media marketing? Okay, I see one person vigorously nodding her head. Okay, yes, that's a good sign. Okay, who here knows what inbound marketing is? Also, no, lots of shaking heads. How about e-fashion business, search engine optimization? Okay, search engine optimization you have heard. Okay, that's fantastic. 2 people. Okay, that's great. Even more than social media marketing. Okay, that's great. How about search engine marketing? Have you heard about this as well? No. Yes. Okay. Yes, people. Okay, so very quickly, since given the fact that everybody doesn't seem to know what these 2 concepts are, I'll just briefly introduce to you. So in TAFTC, we actually have a total of 5 classes under our digital marketing bundle. Search engine optimization. Basically, think of it as Google is a librarian who knows everything you can possibly get to know. But in order to make your book, all right, and you're writing a book, you see. So you're writing a book to give to this librarian. So the librarian would then give your book to other people, right? Recommend your book to other people. So if Google is a librarian and you are the writer, how do you write your book such that Google, the librarian, would then recommend your book to other people? That's right, keywords. Keyword search, we're talking about things like, for example, optimizing your page for web experiences. So that means, how useful is it? How useful or how convenient it is for people to find the information that they want to find in your book, i.e. to say your website lah. Okay, so all these different things come into play in search engine optimization. This is a very broad generalization, so all right. So this just gives you a bit of a hint into what exactly it is. It's a very technical subject, but we try our best to make it as easy and as understandable as it is for everybody to know. We also have paid search engine marketing. Paid search engine marketing is also mainly using Google AdWords. We mainly focus on Google instead of China's marketing, because that one is a very broad and varied field. But the majority, the rest of the work we are using is mainly Google. So for paid search engine marketing, this one is basically how do you bid for your selected keyword on Google. All right. So that one basically is an art as well of like what do you want to bid, how do you bid it, when to bid it, all these different things, and what is even the right keyword to use to bid for, such that it's most effective. Like for example, if I were to bid for the word shoes, then I will guarantee you, if you just buy for that word shoes, it's going to cost quite a lot of money, and you're not going to get the results you want. Because I can be typing in shoes for, let's say, example, I want to buy shoes. But another person may say, what are shoes? Another person may say, shoes for people with differently sized feet. Okay, so if you have these 3 things, then how do you tailor your keyword such that people understand what to look for? So for example, let's say I've got a big gigantic bunion on my foot, right? I can't fit into any of the usual shoes. And Elsa, who's going to another shop, I think she'll talk a bit more about her brand, helps people with these kind of foot problems as well. So in that case, then, how would Elsa, for instance, bid on the right keyword? Shoes for people with foot bunions. That's something called a long tail keyword because it's very, very specific. But because it's very specific and people are looking for it, there's high intention. And high intention most likely results in higher sales. Okay, so that's something you can think in mind. Then after we got social media marketing. Social media marketing, we are going to be looking at Facebook primarily because Facebook, thanks to their ads manager, they're able to give a very pretty insightful look into how your ads are performing. So you can actually look at your click-through rate, your lead conversion rate, and all these different things, which then adds up all together to make it a very, I would say it's a fairly thorough and very in-depth look into how you want to manage your data for marketing. And marketing data is very important because without it, you can't really know whether or not something is working or not. We also got inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is the art of attracting, retaining, and cultivating customers to your brand and product. So in this case, you learn how to set up a sorry, my apologies, I haven't had enough sleep. Customer relationship management system, CRM. So we'll be using some things like email marketing, we'll be using like blogs writing, all these different things, and then we'll try and weave it all together into a coherent strategy such that people will want to come in and learn about your brand and to support your brand without you having to spend too much money on ads for that. Okay, and the last one we have is e-fashion business, which is basically going through on how to set up your own online store. Okay, so now that I've also briefly like run through all the different courses, who here feels confident that if you were to start talking about such terms, you'll be able to follow along? Okay, not confident or not confident?
Because I think
confident. Yep.
things
Yes.
like brand name.
Yes, correct. Correct.
All these comes under the search and
Yes. So all this branding and designing and all these kind of things, these are things that come together with the marketing. So digital marketing is kind of like to one part of it. You also need to have the other part of it. So you have like basically two parts combining into a whole. That's your kind of like push. But then in this, because as you noticed when I talk about digital marketing, there's so many different types. Okay, how do you pick and choose what you want to do? Or maybe do you want even to go into public relations, which is talking to media outlets or even to other organizations as well. So all these are different strategies and tricks that you can all combine together. So think of it like, you know, okay, I'm going to make a very video game reference, okay? So you know like you play Street Fighter, you punch, kick, punch, kick, punch, kick, punch, kick, eventually you do Hadouken, right? So it's the same thing. When you string all these different combinations together, you can create a combo which will then defeat your opponent. I'm sorry, some people are laughing, some people are looking at me with a blank look. I'm not sure if my analogy is going through correctly, but I hope that you understand what I mean, that in order to reach one objective, there are multiple ways of going about it. And each of them builds on top of the other. And then once you build on top of each other, you have a very good strategy right there. Okay, so without further ado, I think you must be all bored of me talking like this. I'm going to pass the mic down to Fahmi first. Okay, Fahmi, please.
Okay, thank you, Chising, for his spiel. Okay, I'm Fahmi. Okay, just wake up a bit now. I'm going to talk about my brand. I run Curbside & Co. It's mostly unisex brand that caters for both men and women. There's no specific gender that the clothes are targeted at. I'm inspired by vintage Americana, something like heritage clothing, people from the railroad workers of the 1940s, the newspaper boys, stuff from that era. So I started a brand about 4 years ago, and it's been not so bad. And I'm graduate of TFTC in 2015. So I shall pass the mic to Elsa. All right.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Elsa, the Princess Queen Elsa. Yeah. I will bring you into the unknown. Yeah. Okay. So I actually own a shoe brand that is called Aquare. So what I do is we do customization of leather shoes. You can get you to choose your design, your choice of leather, your heel height, whether you prefer a thick heel, a thin heel, a flats or whatsoever. And then we'll take the measurement of your feet and customize that one pair specially for you. So we actually cater to things like, let's say if you have bunions, you have flat foot, you require extra arch and all that. We can cater to all this. So currently that's what I'm doing. Yeah, thank you. Oh, I'm also a graduate from TFTC under the shoe diploma in 2018. Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
Hello. It's on. Okay. I'll stand just so that you can see me a little bit too. So I'm Elisa. I run Will and Well, and at Will and Well we design apparels with the forethought of the minorities, and that includes persons with disabilities, caregivers, etc. So for as long as there's a dressing challenge, we make it our goal to resolve that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit about us. So we make clothes, we do customizations, we have our e-commerce with the ready-to-wear, and we also do workshops where we teach people our process too. from design thinking all the way to the making bit of things, just so that, and we designed that entire workshop with the forethought of caregivers, so that they can help their loved ones to change up their wardrobe themselves. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Matthew, and I'm also a TAF TC graduate. I studied fashion merchandising and marketing, but now I think it's called fashion business. So I started my label. Oh, I do menswear, by the way. And I had this idea for my label because back in school I was a performer. I was asked to sing a lot in my high school days and even like in church. So I understood the importance of presenting yourself well. And when I went to my polytechnic, this is before NS, yeah, I had the chance to, because we didn't have a uniform, I had the chance to experiment a lot with my personal style. And back then I was really into like hoodies, and you know how like Blink 182 and Good Charlotte were a thing back then, so punk was kind of my style. But then I knew that I wouldn't be able to sustain that. What if I was 40 and I wanted to have my label and grow it until the end of my time, you know? And so it evolved to become a brand that was very high fashion, very tailoring, craftsmanship. And I also saw that there was an opportunity in the space of menswear, because I felt that men just don't have as many options as women's do. You know, like suits are always black and gray and blue. Like, why not play with color, texture, you know? Yeah, I guess that's basically it.
Okay, so as you can see, we've actually got a range of people. Well, we want to say a range of people. Is it 4 people a range? Okay. We have 4 people with a range of very varied experiences and very varied ways of going about pursuing and developing their brand. So without further ado, I will start into our first question. Okay, now this is a bit longish, so I apologize if there's a huge chunk of text. I will read it out for everybody. Out of all the ways in marketing and public relations to reach out to your target customer, what is the one or more thing that you absolutely never do? So this is a bit of a pushy question, you know. So maybe just for instance, for example, sometimes I would say I would never do, for instance, marketing that does not have certain kinds of like data that you cannot see, they cannot pass, because all these different things are what you need. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Fahmi. I think he's got an idea in mind, right?
Right. Okay. Marketing is not really. I'll talk with a frank outlook here. I'm not really good with marketing. I'm more of a design kind of guy. So when I started a brand, there was not much marketing strategy in my mind, which was a big mistake. So I produce the clothes, I get them done in Japan, and then I just sit and wait. I had one single mode of marketing, Instagram. I had no Facebook because I do not like Facebook at all. I started to sign up for Instagram. It was not easy because I was not sure how to go about doing it. I started taking photos and stuff, and I sit on it for like a couple of weeks. Not a single sale, not a single reception, nothing. Until I got one single inquiry from San Diego. I said, hey, I like your stuff, what are you doing? I would like to buy a pair of jeans. Sure, just direct message me. I had no website. So, which was, when you think back, it's like, Dad, I just really shoot from the hip. I just produce and just sell. So it was a mistake that I thought that it's something that I need to address. Along the way, the customers who bought my stuff started posting OOTDs online. Once that gathered traction, I get a lot of inquiries through my emails and my direct messaging from so-called influencers asking for free clothes. They are all based in Europe and America. I'll be honest here, I do not sell myself as a Singaporean brand. When I started, everybody thought I was from California. Simply because of the design I do, my logo is, it's very Americana and stuff, the clothes I do, right? They think, oh, this must be some vintage brand that got revived in 5 years ago, and then the designs are very right up the alley. So I had to politely decline them because, first of all, I had no clue how influencer marketing works. Along the way, it turns out that this is the norm, people asking you for free clothes. So as much as I think it's a common marketing tool, this is something that Curbside & Co. will never go down that path because I don't give away free clothes. The reason why people see the same few people on my Instagram feeds are because of my loyal customers. They're the same guys who keep buying my stuff and they put it up on Instagram. I repost them because I felt glad that somebody actually appreciates what I do, and like I give them a bit of exposure on the Instagram feeds. Okay, I'll give you some reposts, and they're appreciative. And from then on, I figured I do not need influencer because first of all, I'm not sure. There's two things which flex me. I do not know whether their followers are real and their likes are real, because in this day and age, even I get emails asking to boost my postings with likes, and which is, if you think about it, what I do, I'm a bit punk rock, Like I don't come from the school of marketing, that kind of traditional. So I very guerrilla style. So if there's one thing I do not like is going against going with the mainstream. I just do things a bit off tangent. So yes, influencer unfortunately are not my target. That's not what I will do. I hope that's one thing that you all can take away. My style.
Okay.
Elsa.
Oh yeah, it's Elsa.
All right.
I think for myself, I'm pretty much a very neutral party, but I'm pretty much like Fahmi, which is weird because given my era, I should know what Instagram is, right? But I didn't even have an Instagram account until 2 years ago when I wanted to start my shoe business, and I started asking my colleague oh, how do we do Instagram? What does Instagram do? How do you Insta story? And then I realized that Insta story disappeared within 24 hours, right? So I I'm pretty much like a Facebook person before that, but I'm totally not the kind that post things about myself because I keep very private life. So when I first started out the business, it has to be it's a give and take. You want your business to grow, you have to give up your private life because you want to market your business. You want people to know about your business. You want your friends to know about your business. You want people to know that there's a business going on, right? So does it mean that you have to take a stance that whether you want to start posting yourself as a personal individual by the spread of word of mouth, or do you want it to go like Facebook boosting, so that a lot we did Facebook boosting before, that's the honest fact, and I can tell you whether it really works. No, even my targeted audience are meant to be Singapore market, because Facebook boosting, you can actually go and set the criteria and all that, right? It didn't work, okay? The people who like it are a lot of Indonesian mates, Filipino mates, foreigners. So you get all this of pretty much unrelated people who is liking it. So whether you ask me whether that works or not, that doesn't work for me, okay? Yeah. So what is the one thing that I will never do is to hard sell. I never believe in hard selling a product because from my background, I'm a very technical person. If it works, it works. It doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I don't believe it's hey, you want to ask me something, in order to sell you this product, I'm going to promise you 1,000 things. Sure good one, my product sure good one. There's no such thing. If it doesn't suit the customer, I'll tell the customers okay, I can't do this for you. For example, we say that, we try to solve food problems and all that, but we have customers who come they have one long and one short legs kind. So they ask me if I can do it for them, and my answer is no. I'm not going to say because I want a business, I'll do it for you. Because if that's going to affect your spine and all that, I'm not going to be responsible for it, right? And I can't be responsible for it. So that's one thing that I will say that I'll never do. But let's say if you're talking about marketing and public relationship, what I do currently in my business trend now is we do a lot of pop-up booth. So how does this digital marketing help us. Whenever I do a pop-up booth at a certain location, I want people to know that I'm at that location so that my customers will come and look for me, will come down and take a look at the designs and all that. So that's how one thing I use Facebook and Instagram to actually market my business. And the thing is, for the people who comes by, usually they will not ask you to see. Nowadays, people don't usually say that, oh, I'll take your name card, I will go to your website and take a look. People will say that, oh, I'll take your name card, I'll add you on Instagram. So that's the trend that is going on now. Like it or not, Instagram is important now, especially for like the younger generation people. Yeah. So yeah, that's my share of story. Thank you.
I'm just gonna stay seated here, yeah? Okay, so anyway, my take on this is I would say to never say never, because at different points in your business growth journey, you will need different things. And for myself, as of now, we don't have enough of a crowd on, say, social media, Instagram or Facebook. So technically in this season, Facebook marketing wouldn't work for me. Yeah, but I wouldn't say the same if my audiences grow in substance in the next few years. Then I suppose that would Facebook can help to target better, or I would like to think. But that is till then. Yeah, and then how I go around, I think in the space of my work, I really can choose how I want to market it, because we have our clothes in maid agencies. We have clothes in different places, hospitals, nursing homes. So I really can, like one thing that I was just thinking recently, and I think even with marketing and public relations, is very much about just always creating new means to make sure that people come to know about you. And for me right now, if it means traction for people to hear me talk about it, then I will talk about it in talks or in workshops, and that could be my strategy. Like that would be one way that I want to introduce my products that would integrate into the occasions, like into let's say my agency, right? How I think that I would integrate, or how I could integrate my business into their business is probably by creating workshops or talks for the caregivers, right? So I think really what's important essentially is to keep creating new ways to market it. Just try. Don't be scared. Like even if it's like Instagram, to just try it out. Maybe it will work. Just put a little bit here, put a little bit there. Try. See what's the best uptake. Yeah, like fishing, you know. Just wait for a little bit. And that's how you know where. And then after you put long enough, right, you know the angles, you know like where to catch that prawn. Right, so just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say do your research. Marketing, honestly, when I started out, when I was a student here, this was before I went into NS, and I also knew nothing about the business world, running a business. I knew nothing about marketing. I didn't know what SEO was. And back then, Instagram didn't even exist. And now we have about 3,000 followers on Instagram, which isn't a lot, but it's enough for our niche. So I would say don't be afraid to test. What works for someone else may or may not work for you as well. Don't be afraid to test. Keep testing. Try out different things. And TAFTC really teaches you the principles of marketing. The platforms may change, but the principles remain, right? Like today it's Snapchat, tomorrow's TikTok, and then who knows what else is coming up. But the principles of marketing will always be the same. How you reach out to your audience, how you target them, how you remarket, how you maintain a CRM database, all of that kind of thing. So yeah, and I guess just to touch a bit on public relations, specifically in media relations, since everyone talks about digital marketing and all of that, and since TAF invited me to on this panel because I have a lot of press coverage, So starting from scratch, I didn't know anything, right? But I had the ability to, I guess, build relationships with people, build relationships with members of the media, and that's kind of my style of doing business. I like to get to know people before we even embark on any project together. And so how you pitch to the media is really, you need your press release, and then you send it to them, and then hopefully if it works out, if it's ideal for them, the right time, they'll publish it for you, right? So don't, I guess, respect them. They're also people doing their jobs. They're not vending machines. Doesn't mean you insert a press release or come out in a magazine the next day, you know? So be a good person is my advice for that. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Matthew. I used to be a former reporter back in a previous life. So most of the time you get a lot of press releases coming in, and then you're like, okay, so how would this fit in with my stories? So just to give you a bit of background in the newsroom, so what happens that just because you send out a press release doesn't necessarily mean you get picked up, because sometimes you have to see what the story is of that day. And newspapers, newspapers, there's only so much the Straits Times can cram inside, you know. We're not just talking about government press releases, the one side, okay? The one you have to publish. But then if you're talking about other things, for example, let's say I'm a company, I'm launching a brand new product. Oh, come and check out my new shoes. But then you don't put it in a story that the news agency will want to pick up on. So for example, you say, I have a brand new pair of shoes, but the newspaper is not going to be like, oh, Tan Akau created a new pair of shoes, and then I'm going to write a story just for Tan Akau. They can't do that. So they have to find a bigger story. They have to find, let's say, example, oh, these days now Singaporeans are now making a lot more homegrown shoe brands or homegrown clothing brands. And then they'll go like, okay, tell me who knows some of these different brands. Then, for example, let's say, I think you might have seen in Matthew appearing on the newspaper, Fahmi also appearing in the newspaper as well. Elisa also came out on the newspaper as well, but I think she came out along the process of like the things that you were doing, right? If I remember, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So then also one of our shoe graduates, if you attended our shoe talk, like Gina Shoes, and I think Clara Han of Olia also appeared on the newspaper as well. So all these were part of larger stories that were talking about trends happening in Singapore. So if your brand comes into that trend or into that kind of like newsworthy angle, then more likely you're going to get coverage from the media. But of course, I think public relations firms will actually do a lot better jobs of this. You have to find the right partner to work with, of course. You can't do this on your own all the time. They won't be able to help you out too much. Okay, so moving on, we're going on to our next question, which is also for all panelists. Could you walk us through your decision-making process on how you decided which method of marketing or public relations technique to use, and how did you exercise it? Okay, I'll pass it on to Fahmi first. Okay.
All right, I'm just going to stand. Used to standing. Okay, decision-making process. Okay, just before I start, I'm giving away two bandanas. So listen to the words that comes out of my mouth very carefully. I'm going to ask 2 questions later. Someone somewhere going to get 2 items. Yeah. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, I started with almost 0 marketing skills. What I garnered from the marketing course from TEFTC, I had that framework, but I do not know how to execute it in a digital marketing platform. So when I had that Instagram, I get that few bits of customers. Strangely, the first 20 or 30 was from California for some weird reason, I'm not sure why. All over California, they started putting my garments on them and posting, and then people started buying. And then the light bulb moment was like, I don't need influencers at this stage to market my stuff, because what they are showing, some of them have taken really good photographs, and I think I can gain traction for the brand just from that platform itself. So I made friends with my customers. Sometimes when they buy 2-3 items, I'll give discount on the 4th item that they buy, just to encourage that process of getting my stuff, you know. More often than not, they're grateful for it. From then on, you realize that actually, I do not know what people's thought process are, but when they get that recognition from a brand owner who talks to you personally. I'm a one-man show, in case you guys do not know. The only thing I do not do is cut and sew. Design, shipping, marketing, everything else is done by me. When the brand owner speaks to you himself, whether through Skype or through emails or Instagram direct messaging, they feel flattered in a way. So they like that process that, you know, they are so-called close to me. So from then on, they are encouraged to keep on posting my stuff. So and it also helps that sometimes I don't really just talk about pure style clothes. We talk about music, we talk about sometimes a bit of politics, movies, pop culture, and you know, we gain a common understanding, common ground that we like. So from then on, I figured that, you know, like that's the mode of marketing tool that I'm going to use. So this gained traction only about 2 years ago, that I realized that I'm going to tap on this. So I just stick with that, and I have not, what Matthew said was pretty good, press release. I have not done a single press release in the brand. That's damn sad, because you have to do a press release. How I appear on magazines and is through word of mouth. It's very guerrilla, as I mentioned before. I eschew traditional marketing, but traditional marketing helps to a certain degree. So you get your basics right. Unless you start with me, how I started. Like, I have no clue what I was doing. And then I realized, oh, I need to come up with a press release. I need to tell people I'm out there. You know, like, there's only so much marketing people can do for you. You have to do it from yourself. So in some ways, I think the new courses by TFTC is pretty decent, especially the social media side. Yeah, I think that kind of, yeah. I'm going to pass to Elsa. Am I right?
Yeah. That's
okay. Yeah.
I think it's really related to what we talked about just now, like, you know, the marketing and public relation technique. So for me, it's like, okay, I really started on social media. Like I say, it might be relevant, it might not be relevant. Like she said, you know, you need to just keep on trying where it goes and all that. Yeah. So for me, when I first started out my business, I didn't also really do a lot of marketing, because what I'm doing, I'm not a trend goer. Why I don't do press release, why I don't go on magazines and all that? Because even if influencers I give you one pair of free shoes and then they tell me, oh, then they will market it, it's so soft, it's so this and that. What suits you may not suit other people. Do I have 100% satisfied customer with my product? Answer is no. Although it's customized, there are people who get blisters very easily, very sensitive to blisters. That's something that I cannot help with your skin, you see. I have customers who get blisters and tell me, oh, because of the blisters, I'm sensitive to plaster, and then I cannot paste plaster, and then I have to go on slippers for 1 full week. That's something I cannot help you with, right? So if you ask me, this kind of like influencers, press release thing doesn't really work for me at this point of time, because it doesn't help my business. I mean, to me, because this shoe business is not my first business, so I'm a very down-to-earth person that whatever investment I'm going to put in, what are my ROIs? Yeah, so that's for me, like, yeah. So yeah, I think that's something that you have to weigh for yourself, like where you want your business to go. But I will say that going into digital marketing, public relation, all this is important, because you want people to know you. If you have a business and people doesn't know about you, your business is zero. At the end of the day, how a business goes on is all about sales. When you have zero sales, no matter how good your product is, it's zero. So yeah, I think that's a very important foundation that you have to build for yourself, even before you start the business. Yeah. Thank you.
So marketing for us, we do it all sorts of ways, right? And because we are e-commerce also, so what we do is we partner with other businesses or other organizations. We partner with hospitals, we partner with nursing homes, we partner with agencies, we partner with other elder care businesses or fashion brands or fashion businesses, so that we leverage on their marketing platforms. Yeah, I think that's the way we. I mean, it's one person to be talking about the brand, but if I could have a couple of people to talk about my brand together with the cause that they are doing also, and if I could tap on their audiences also, which are direct audiences for me, I see that as a way out too. Yeah, and every time I'm just thinking about new ways that I could market things, and exactly like what Elsa said, you can make the best product, but if you're not marketing it, if people are not getting your message, then it's pointless. Yeah, it's pointless to that sense. After all, it's about sales, right? Fashion business. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
I guess before you embark on a marketing plan, it's so important to know who your customer is and your product price point. You know, for example, if you're doing maybe $20 t-shirts and stuff, then you can do like discounts and giveaways. It's fine. But for me, because my price points are higher, they're in the 4-figure range, I can't be discounting, right? So it needs to be appropriate to match. And you need to know the psychology of your customer, how they shop, where they go, what they enjoy doing, and you need to be there to meet them. Yeah, and when I started out, I was lucky to be stocked at Takashimaya department store in the men's department, because traditionally in fashion business, you participate as a brand, you participate in trade shows, and you cross your fingers, you cross your toes, cross your eyes, and you just hope that a retailer picks you up. And from there, because retailers have their footfall and the traffic, that's where the customers buy. So the retailers buy from you wholesale, and then they sell it, right? But the problem with that is you don't always know who the end consumers are. And so that was my problem when I was stocked in Takashimaya. There was no way for me, or I also didn't know that I should be finding ways to keep in touch with my customer. And that's where CRM comes in, keeping an email database, so you can constantly reach out to your customers and just to remind them that, hey, we're here, you know, we have new products, we have a new collection, or come to our event. So yeah, I guess it's important to know who your customers are, and then from there you will know what are the available tools and what the right way is that is appropriate to reach out to them. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think it's running a bit. I'm not too sure whether or not we're running behind time or above time. I really don't know at this point in time. I've been up since like very early in the morning, so time has no more meaning for me. Okay, anyway. Yeah, drama. Okay, so we have got about 4 questions on Slido, and we also have more questions that I've already that I actually have in mind for them. But I think maybe your questions are more important, so I will ask the panelists your questions. Feel free to go on Slido. I'm just going to go back a couple of slides, so in case you have more questions, direct them here. Scan this QR code, go to slido.com, #brand, and then input your questions. Especially if you're watching this from like online, on YouTube or on Facebook, please send your questions there. If not, I won't be able to see it. Okay. So the first question is, how does one approach factories or manufacturers to strike a production deal? How does one approach factories or manufacturers to strike a production deal? That's easy. Wow. Okay.
Okay. Very good experience on my end. When I started the brand, I wanted strictly to be made in Japan. So I canvassed for. I actually flew to Okayama to try to connect with a few people. It didn't work. The Japanese like to use what do you call intermediary. So you cannot meet directly with the mill itself, or the workshop owners, or the factory, right? So I went home with my tail between my legs, and then I started sending emails. I think total about almost to 500 emails to various companies all over Japan. I got a hit rate about maybe like 2%. So out of these 2%, one of them was on the way to Singapore, a team of them. So they had the transit, and I met them in Millennia Walk, I still remembered. I brought my ideas to them, and they was like, yeah, sure, Fami-san, we can do for you. I was like, my God, one of them could speak English. The other two could not, because she was a Boston graduate. She was translating me what I was saying through the other two bosses. So I was like, okay, after like 3 to 4 months of searching, finally I managed to get one single Japanese factory to do my work. It cost me an arm and a leg, 5-figure amount, just to produce about 100 pieces. From then on, word gets round within the small village or kampong in Okayama that, you know, there's this crazy guy from Singapore who was willing to pay, get him, you know. Like, so, okay, I flew over this time round and I had meetings with various workshops and mills. So that's when I started buying fabrics. So when okay, this is just a quick detour. Curbside & Co. specialize in using dead stock fabric from Japan mills. So what that means is that these are runs from, let's say a brand A decided to make like 10,000 yards of clothes, of fabric. Out of these 10,000, the factory will make like maybe 12,000 yards. In case they get rejected, they still have 2,000 yards for spares, right? Okay. Sometimes they are left with 1,000 yards, and that's where it's called dead stock. You know, they try to sell, okay. And usually this costs a lot more than the actual fabric itself because it's high quality stuff. So I tend to buy those type because they will not produce it anymore. So that brand exclusivity is in the sense that I use dead stock fabric, so for one style. So if the fabric, the garment finish is finished, I'll make it into another different fabric, right? So how you want to approach brand workshops? For me, I did it the hard way. I had no connections. I canvassed through emails. My hit rate was 2%, which was quite not bad considering they don't really speak English that much, right? So anybody else have any input? Yeah, sure. A good question. Because I do vintage Americana style. I wanted to do in America, but the Americans were using Mexicans to the factory that I connected with. So I wasn't sure whether that was a legit operation that was going on in their workshop, whether they are using sweatshop style. And I wanted Japan because the machines that is used to make Curbside & Co. stuff are vintage machines from the 20s. And Japan bought a whole lot of them after the World War from Americans. The irony, they bought from Americans, they ship back to Japan, and they start repairing and doing it. So these machines are the very same item that's being made. This is my stuff. It's being made for my products. It's a very slow process. It's a very tedious process. It's not like the factory where they produce very quickly. Like one roll of fabric can take you like 4 hours. In a normal factory, that will take you probably like half an hour. So it's that time-consuming process. That's why the price point is a bit different for Curbside & Co. Yeah. Any questions? No.
Anybody else? Panelists like to answer this question? All right.
So again, it's also about knowing your brand story and your customers, whether they're particular about where the item is made, how it's made, because that also helps with your marketing. You can tell them about the process, and that helps to sell your brand as well. And for me, it was really a lot about asking around the people I knew, because when I first started my label, it had meant to be streetwear. It's not this high-end tailoring that it is today. So actually, I based myself in Cambodia. I had found someone who had a factory there, and so I actually lived there, like just to work with them. But then the how do you say, it wasn't politically stable back then, so there were a lot of riots happening, and it got to a point where it wasn't safe for me to be there anymore, and I had to like start from scratch again. But the good thing is the factory owner knew other factory owners in other countries, and so it was from there that I networked. There are also trade shows, supplier trade shows that you can visit. or actually online, if you search hard enough. These days, everything is like, it's all out in the open. Back then, there wasn't. It was a bit difficult. But these days, if you know what product you're sourcing for and what kind of quantities and what kind of qualities, you would be able to look for these online databases through all these trade show organizations. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question, right? Okay, there's a question about, is a brand story important? But I'm just going to read out this question and then another question as well. So before I pass on the mic. Next question was, I think both of these questions are somewhat related. So the first question is a brand story important? And the second question is, how do you keep your brand image consistent while staying relevant in today's fashion trends without selling out or bending to what's popular? That's a very deep question.
If you know your brand story, I think it's... Oh, am I again?
I mean,
okay, sure. Okay, here I go again. All right. Brand story. Listen to the words that comes out from my mouth carefully. Okay. For Curbside & Co., simple. My brand story is I use dead stock fabrics, vintage Americana influence. And I always tell my customers, I'm selling style. I'm not selling fashion. I do not do fast fashion. Like what's trendy now, 3 months later, you're gonna discard it. You pay like a 300 USD pair of denim from Curbside & Co. I make sure it's gonna last you for at least 5 years. I lost the question. What was it again?
How do you keep your brand image consistent while staying relevant
okay.
in today's fashion
Yeah,
trends?
relevant in the sense that I do not, as mentioned earlier, I do not do fashion, right? I just concentrate on style. So style is eternal. So you as you age, you can try on different kind of fits or different kind of to suit your body shape, but your style kind of is consistent unless you are those type that try every 6 months you're gonna go a different look, hip hop, hype beast, and whatnot, right? I do vintage Americana, so I mean, like, how often do you change that kind of style? So my brand story is strictly very simple, straightforward, dead stock fabric, vintage Americana influence. That's it. What are you gonna do? I just work within that framework. So, yeah, it's flexible but still rigid.
How about our ladies?
Yeah.
Brand story is everything. Because of our brand and what we do, we have gotten so many coverages from BBC to Straits Times to like just a lot of them just want to hear our story. And I never craft the brand knowing that the cover like this PR or this newspaper people or the media would be interested, but the returns are evidence. Like that means because when we didn't have that, we try to bring education across through our own creative ways. We even create games so that at our pop-ups so that people understand what we do. We do social media. We try so many ways, but when an article comes out, right, suddenly like the numbers just go up. It's a spike. It's amazing. It's the best thing, and you need to like bet on your brand story for that, man. Yeah, it's everything. Yeah, exactly. And then people remember you for the story also, for that narrative that you leave in their mind. Yeah, it's everything, man. What else?
Okay, I'll take it. Yeah, I also agree that brand story is basically everything, like, because what you sell, people relate it to your brand. Like, for example, my shoes, people obviously know it's not a trend-going shoes. But what is the gap that I found in between in this industry is that I want it to be, we always brand ourselves to be comfort with style. So if you're someone now, if you're going for style, you realize that a lot of like lady heels tends to be very narrow in front. It's like squeezing your feet and all that. That doesn't make you comfortable, right? And then if you're trying to go for the comfort way, to go healthy shoes and all that, you pay $600 for a shoe and then it's not leather and then it looks like sometimes it's really like my grandma kind of style, which is not what you want, right? So what we brand ourselves is that we try to find the gap that is in the society now. So we will go for comfort with style. So while you can still choose your style that we can do for you, which does not have to go for the trend, and then we can actually customize what you need for you. So that's how people relate to us. We have people who come to us because they have very small feet. We have size 33. We have ladies who have size 43. We have guys who have come to us with size 47. So it's really how people relate to our brand and what we do. When you customize, people think that, oh, because I cannot find shoes outside, I should look for them. You go by the word of mouth. Like if someone asks my customers and then say that, I have problem finding this and that, then we're like, oh, I can recommend you to Le Quarry because they do customization of shoes. They can cater to what you need. So it's important. Even like moving forward, I'm actually planning to have my own collections, and it will still comes in the pipeline to remember, like, design it for people who have like flat foot, design it for people who have bunions. So that means I will have like a broader toe box and all that. Yeah, so that will still be under like, how you can customize your shoes together with the ready-made collections. Yeah, so I think brand story and going ahead with what you are firm in what you're doing is very important, because if you keep changing your directions, your customers get confused. And when people get confused, they tend to just choose not to follow you, because if you yourself as a brand owner don't know what you want, you don't expect people to know what you want, what they can get from you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Matthew, would you like to add on to it? Or?
Okay, I'll say a few words. So adding on to what Elsa has said, yes, consistency is key. And in regards to whether, like, how to stay relevant and how do you keep up with trends and all that, I mean, like, if you look at brands like H&M, they have merchandise coming in every week. How do you have the capital to keep up with that volume of merchandise that keeps coming in? How do you have that creative juices that constantly keep flowing? H&M has a huge team. How big is your team? And sustainability and all of that come into question also, right? So know who you are, know who your customers are, because, sorry, I forgot what I wanted to say. Yes, consistency is key. There will always be a market. There will always be people who shop for classics, and there will always be people who follow trends, right? So who are your customers? You need to know that very well. And for myself, it's more classic. We don't keep up with trends as well. So people will always come to us because they know what we do, and they're confident because we do that so very well. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's almost about an hour already. Do you guys want more questions? Because you got two more. I got two more questions right now. Actually, 3 questions. Oh wait, there's another one coming up. What the? Okay, well, there is an undeterminable number of questions. Okay, at least 3 lah. At least 3 questions. So, you all okay to stay a bit longer, or is our panelists okay to stay a bit longer? Yeah. Okay, Akana. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to ask another question, all right? I think this one is a very interesting question. I think it'll speak to a lot of young entrepreneurs. What was your biggest fear before starting your brand? I mean, if you're judging for the looks, everybody's like, okay. Biggest fear? Okay.
I think the biggest fear was that I didn't know anything. Like, I only know how to make clothes. I love making clothes. And then now what? Like, I need to register my business. I need to do accounts. I need money, right, to run the first batch of production and everything. So everything is a fear. So just move, like, but you just gotta get past that emotion. Get past that emotion. Take that bold step, and say, okay, I need to do this now. How would I do it? I need to go online to find, or if not, I need to ask somebody who knows it, who has done it before. Ask that person, and then you start getting through each milestone, and you just start getting past each fear. But I think a constant fear would be cash flow, right? That is like, and I had just graduated from school. I was using my savings to run it. My parents had prepared it, but the the biggest fear was to take any risk with their money. So I didn't touch their money at all because that was just my biggest, like, because it's not my money, it's not my earned money. Yeah, and cash flow, then you just gotta be creative with your marketing ways. You just gotta like brand pitch, just do anything, just so that you don't get too caught up with that fear. Yeah, it will always be there. Yeah, anyone else?
For me, I think the biggest fear when I first started out my business, I'm a bit different from Elisa because my shoe business is not my first business. So basically, I have something to fall back on. Yeah, but then my biggest fear is not being able to meet the customer satisfaction, because what my pipeline of the business is to customize shoes, and I want to make my customers happy, and I want to be able to solve their problem. So I think you have to overcome this fear that there is no 100% customer satisfaction. It took me quite a while to like really go into that, because when customers like start to get their shoes, they're not very happy about it. We try to resolve, and then you know that there are some people who just are hard to please, or you just can't please them. And you know, I always say Singaporeans being Singaporeans, we always have something to complain about because that's in our genes, you know. So we do get customers who are like that. Like we even had we made a pair of shoes for the customer, they're unhappy about it, and then we redo it. We made a second pair for the customer, she still don't like it, but she still buy from us. And then we made a fifth pair for this particular customer, she still don't like it. And then it's like she's scolding us every day, but she still buy it. So you get this kind of customer. So you just have to get over it, that, you know, like deal with it, that there are people who will like your product, there are people who don't like your product. So don't let the setback gets into you too much. Yeah, you have to really keep yourself focused and move on. Yeah, thank you.
There's just
Matthew,
yeah, okay. Yeah. Just a bit of what Elsa said. The cash flow problem is real as well. I use my own savings because I worked for 15 years in the media industry. So as of now, 6 figure has just, about 200 grand is just gone. Still recovering from it. The other thing that is pretty important is that you cannot satisfy everyone, right? There's bound. She mentioned Singaporeans. Mine was Americans. I don't. In fact, I had kind Singaporeans. So on the flip side, yeah, surprisingly, the Americans sometimes can be very exacting with what they want. So out of maybe 100 customers, one will be a bit nasty and say like, hey, why are you slow with your delivery? I was like, but I'm sending from Singapore. Geez, I thought you're from California. I said, no, I'm not. I was like, okay. That shipping issues aside, so the quality is like, hey, why are you not like that, like this? I was like, but that's the other brand that you are referring to. It's not my brand, Creed. You know, like the certain style, you buy what you buy what I design. Like if you want the other brand, you buy the other brand, right? So it's like, why are you benchmarking me against that? It's like you should know what you're buying. Or sometimes you can't really satisfy everyone, you know. This just, yeah. Oh, okay. Just a quick giveaway. Curbside and Co. use what kind of fabric? Somebody said something in the background? Okay, I think that guy. Okay, white t-shirt. Right, the back. Gentlemen, right. There's a bandana. Right. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah. Oh, there's one more anyway. I'll give it something. Dead stop. Dead stop. That means they don't produce it anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, everybody now alert and ready to go already. Okay. All right, next question. Okay, I've got 2 more questions already, then I think we'll call it a day. Is that all right with everybody? Yeah. Okay. So, how do you separate your brand from yourself on social media? Elisa says, no, you don't. Okay.
Separate your brand from social media.
Yourself from your brand. It's like you separate your brand from yourself on social media.
Oh, okay. No, you can't.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just speak quickly. 1 minute spiel. Okay, when I started a brand, I chop off my head when I post. So people are asking me like, hey, why are you not showing your face? Because I'm shy. I'm not, like, you know, I'm after a while, I had a very loyal customer from Moscow, Russia was saying, hey, Fahmi, you really need to put your face. Nobody knows what the owner looks like, and you're a one-man show. So I was like, okay, finally I teased with my head tilted down, and slowly you see over the years, if you look through my Instagram, you'll see me smile. I wouldn't smile on my photos, I do silly things. So yeah, there's no clear line. Like at some point, it gets blurred. Right now, I even showing what I do on a daily basis because I want people to know what as a brand owner, what do I do besides just designing clothes, right? So my daily activities, like my runs, my training, I should just show a glimpse of it, like just 10%. Just show that there's a human being, like I just don't design clothes. There are other things that I do, right? Okay.
Yeah, my answer is also yes. You can't separate yourself from social media. Like I say that I was a pretty much private person that I don't really use social media until I started my shoe business, because my first company was actually an engineering company. Being in an engineering company is pretty much like a male-dominated industry, and you don't really need to be on social media. Yeah, so I don't use social media and until I started my shoe company, and then it's like my team was telling me that, hey, you're the brand owner, if you are going to start, by the word of mouth, you need to start showing yourself. And then when I started posting on Facebook again, and then it's like I have friends was like suddenly messaging me like, wow, you're on Facebook again, was that a hack account? And I'm like, no, it's me. Yeah, so basically moving on from that is like, if you really want to be out there in the business, you cannot be too conservative and try to separate your private life and your work life, because if you want to put a brand out there, you want people to know who you are. No point that you set up a brand and you tell people, oh, I don't want people to know that I'm the brand owner. Then there's no point really. Yeah, so that's from my take. Yeah. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Next question.
And then our last question for today, because I think it's been a long day for everybody. So, and also for our panelists, thank you so much for coming down again. Okay, last question, and this is a business question. How do you gather interest for your brand before you start manufacturing and selling? How do you gather interest for your brand before you start manufacturing and selling? Okay.
You just take that risk, and you do it together. That means because there's that lead time you need for production, for design and production, right? So if you already know what you are, what you're working towards, you need your branding coming in also. I think you do your branding first, and then while you're running that production, when the production house is churning your clothes and all that, you take that time to start marketing already. Yeah, so just do everything together. Yeah. That's the question, right?
Yeah, so that's...
yeah.
Yeah, how do you gather interest for your brand before you start manufacturing and selling? I think that's...
Yeah.
answers it for you.
Okay. Yeah. I think for me, how I gathered my interest is that I have bunion's problem and it's genetic. So there are two kinds of bunion's issues. First is genetic. That means it's like from your parents and whosoever, your whole family has bunions. My whole family has bunions, okay? And the other kind of bunions is when it's inflammation. So that means you wear the wrong kind of heels and all that. Then you have your bone inflammations and your joint inflammation and all that. So that's how you get bunion. For myself, I have bunions, and since young, I always have problem buying ladies' shoes. I can't get sports shoes because even for the sports shoes, sneakers and all that, it's pretty narrow. Yeah. So I always had problem finding shoes until someday one of my friends asked me like, if you have problems with your feet, there's so many people out there who have problem with your feet. So if you customize your shoes, then why don't you get into this business? And there's so many people else in Singapore who has this problem, can tap on this resource. And then I was like, okay, let's give it a go. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Yeah. So that was like basically, even until now, the heart of doing this business is not so much on how much profit can I get out of it, how big can I get. It's more of how many people I can help to solve their problem. So it depends really on where your baseline is and where your foundation is. So as a business owner, I will always encourage that, get your directions right before you even start the business. Build your foundation before you even start the business. And I think that's very important, because once your business go live, there is no U-turn. There is no time for you to take a step back and think about it again, because you won't want your business to stop for 3 months just for you to sit down there and think again. So I think importantly is really get your directions right first before you even start anything. Yeah.
Okay, I think pretty much we have. That's all our questions we have. It's good. And then finally, Fahmi's got one last giveaway. So listen carefully, everybody. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Okay. Here it comes.
All right, okay. Curbside and Co. Where do I derive my style from? Vintage? No. Sorry, you say Americana? No, I use two. That's the one. I give it to her. Yes, I do vintage Americana. Yeah. All right.
All right. So on that note, thank you so much, everybody, for your taking the time to come down today. I really appreciate this. On behalf of TAFTC, we really thank you for coming down. And thank you to everybody who tuned in online and who actually braved the COVID-19 to come down. No, you're fine. Don't worry. We screen everybody. It's fine. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming. We hope to see you again soon. And then if you have any questions, feel free to just let us know. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, my